and a short time after this last snapshot, we received 23W43A for version 1.21. And this version includes some characteristics that are going to be implemented in 1.20.3. So let's begin. So we have the tough block for a long time. But now what we can do is make more variants from this block. We can see all of this in the crafting table. For example, here we have the slabs, stairs, and the wall. Some of these tend to be cheaper if we do it on the stone cutter, where you can see we have all these variants, which I have displayed over here. For example, from the tough block, we have the stairs, the wall, and the slab. And we have the polished version of these, with its variants. And we can also make tough bricks, including the stairs, the wall, and the slab. Besides that, we can also do the chisel versions, where here is the chisel tough, and the chisel tough bricks. Now we'll see some changes that are going to be implemented in 1.20.3. For example, here we have the command tick. So if we type tick freeze, here the game has frozen. As you may know, a lot of things in Minecraft happen at a certain speed. What's going to happen with these items is that it occurs like time froze for them. So if I throw all these items in various directions, and since time is paralyzed, they do not move. So now instead of freeze, we choose unfreeze, and everything returns to its normal time. Another thing we can also do is tick rate. You'll see that the default value is 20, since it is 20 ticks per second. But for example, let's place 2. We can see that everything occurs at a very slow pace, including us. So we start to drop items, and since I place 2 ticks per second, this occurs at a very slow speed. In this case, a tenth of the speed. But we can also place the speed 5 times faster. We are also going to move pretty fast. Even the game has not enough time to process the item drops, so they look like they instantaneously drop to the ground. Let's return to time to normal, 20. This is mostly going to serve the technical community. Since some redstone contraptions can be quite complicated, some issues or bugs can more easily be found with this function. The same, if we accelerate the speed, everything is affected, including this wandering trader and his llamas. And another change that is coming in 1.20.3 is that the skin of the bat has been retexturized, or modified. In this case, we can now see it has big ears, and his nose and his ears is now in this magenta color. I don't know which of the two versions you like more, but this is kind of a taste issue. Let's see more important changes. As you know, we have here the copper blocks, which is crafted from some copper ingots, and we also have these variants. If we go to a stone cutter, we place the copper, we get these cut copper blocks. Using the cut copper blocks, and using the stone cutter, we can also obtain here the slab and the stair. And then we can also obtain its various versions and various levels of oxidation. So now this snapshot has brought these new blocks. First we have the chisel copper block, the copper grate. We also have copper doors, trapdoors. One would imagine, since copper looks like iron, this could only be opened by redstone. But no, we can also use our player interactions, like any wood version. And now we also have the copper bulb, which we will see further on. As any copper block, it has various levels of oxidation. And as any copper item, if we wax them, they will retain their oxidation level permanently. And only with this, Minecraft has added various new blocks. So now I want to compare the various chisel blocks that Minecraft has added. For example, we have the normal chisel stone, the display chisel stone, the sandstone chisel stone, which has the creeper, the red sandstone, which has this wither boss. Here we have the wither skull. In the blackstone version we have the pig snout. And here we have quartz. And these are the new designs. The copper block, the tough, and the tough bricks. Which designs you see here, you can tell me. Maybe this is wind. So first let's recover this block. Now let's talk about the copper bulb. This is its recipe, which is very interesting because now we'll use blaze rods and some redstone with 3 copper blocks, and that way we obtain 4 copper bulbs. So this block is not directional, and this is its sound. As you may remember, redstone lamp works like this. If we press F3, we can see its characteristic. Its lit is false, so it is not lit. This is only variable. So when it receives a redstone signal, it turns on, and when the signal ceases, it turns off. True? False. So, the following is very interesting about the copper bulb. If we press F3, you can see it has two variables. One is lit, and the other one is if it is powered. What happens if it receives a redstone signal? You can see that red dot on the center of each of the faces of the block, which is going to indicate that it is receiving redstone power. But we can also see as an independent variable, this block remained lit. With F3, we can see this. But it is currently not powered. What this block particularly does is that it receives redstone power, and it remains lit. So it changes state from false to true. And what happens is it receives another redstone signal. Well, now it changes state again, and now it is not lit. So when it receives a redstone signal, it remains lit. Once it receives another redstone signal, it remains unlit. Here comes a characteristic that is very important regarding its illumination level. So let's go to night, and now we're going to see the effect on its various levels of oxidation. So this is the normal one. If we press F3 and place ourselves beside the block, we can see that the light level is 14. What it oxidizes a bit further, it is the exposed copper. Right beside it, it is level 11. A bit more oxidation, the weather version. Right beside it, it is light level 7. And finally, the oxidized level, the light level is 3, right beside the block. For example, this oxidized copper bulb is turned on. What we are going to do with the axe is remove the oxidation levels. And as progressively we remove them, the copper becomes more luminous, till we get to the maximum light level. And of course, we can also wax these blocks, and it's going to remain with a set light level. So we can choose which of the 4 we want. And yes, this is the first block in Minecraft that can do this. So let's return to day. So what happens with this block? This is the first block. We can turn it on first and then move it with a piston, since it is going to keep its lit state. And differently from the redstone block, we can place it over the piston and it is not going to power the piston. So we can work normally. If you remember, if we place a redstone block like this, because of quasi-connectivity issues, it is powering the piston, and once it is lifted off, the piston will not retract. Which we can do with a copper bulb. We just need to turn it on, and later we can move it with a piston. It is also interesting to remark that it can be placed on flying machines, and move further on. We just take it to a side, turn it on, and now they are turned into mobile light sources, which do not further require power. So we can go there and turn it on and off as we like. And this in a flying machine works pretty well. They are going to remain lit. And as you can see here, we can place these on slime structures and move them on. Now, the reason I am interested in moving them is not because of illumination. This new block has a very interesting characteristic. Let's power this copper bulb. It turns on, and it remains lit. Even this block is receiving power. Power cannot be derived from this block like this. Apparently, this block qualifies as a transparent block, but if we use a comparator, this is going to extract power from the block. We can see it gives off the maximum power, 15. This is independently from its oxidation level. So let's turn it on. We can see all 3 of them are lit. And if we see the power the comparator is giving off is 15, 15, and 15. All the same. Here you can listen to a sound effect when it turns on and off. Which occurs at the same time, the red dot appears. So let's see this test. If the block is opaque or transparent, we can send a redstone signal. The other side doesn't pick up a signal. But in cases of the blocks, it sometimes works with a repeater, like this. Nothing. But what if we inject the power directly from a repeater into the block, and see if we receive a signal on the other side? We can also place another bulb, but nothing. So definitely, the copper bulb is a transparent block, different from the redstone lamp. And yes, from this characteristic we can derive that now we have a flip-flop contraption that is very compact. I'm going to show you some flip-flop contraptions, some of which I have even used on this channel. Here we have some droppers. For example, this one is receiving an item from this hopper. Then it is feeding this dropper, and the dropper is feeding the one above it. When it receives a redstone signal, the light turns on. and it receives another one, it turns off. Basically, a flip-flop is this contraption that when it receives a redstone signal, it turns on, and when it receives another one, it turns off, changing its out state. We can build the same circuit like this. Basically, these two are the same circuit. Another way we can build a flip-flop is using a sticky piston. If this one receives a pulse length that is too short, it is going to spit out the redstone block. And yes, this one works, on and off. And before all the circuits, a very old redstone contraption is this one. On. Off. Maybe these contraptions are too big and hard to remember, but the new flip-flop is just this. An in signal, the bulb, and a comparator to give off a signal. If we come here, we can build this even more compact. Only these 4 pieces. I want to speak a bit more about the copper grate, which we are going to find shortly, I hope, on the instructor. If we play this beside another block, we're going to see we can see this face, but we cannot see the faces of this grate, for example on this side. And equally, if we place a grate on another grate, we are not going to see the faces on the other one that is behind the first one. For example, we can build this block 3x3x3, and we can see that no matter the number of the crates behind these ones, we can see perfectly through them. If we walk over them, this is the sound you will hear. We inject redstone power, we can see that it is a completely transparent block. It is not identifying any type of signal. Here the bulb, the redstone, or the repeater is picking up the redstone signal. So these basically are like copper leaves. And yes, basically this is what the Snapshot offers us. I hope you like them. This has been v1.21, and see you next time.